Okay, welcome to LIB part 4, part 4. Line item 200, excavation. Now the first thing you want to do is get familiar with your footprint. Okay, so I'm going to go to lot 33. Here's the drawings. So let's just go right into the footprint here. And there it is. So here's our footprint. We're 50 feet across the front, including the garage, and we are 10 foot, 12 foot, 8 foot. We're at minus 8 feet and 11 feet. I think it's here. So that's what, 19 feet off of 50? So that's 31 feet across the back. So here's your footprint, 50 feet by 21 feet, 11 feet over, and it ends up being a 50 by 30. Okay, I did a 50 by 40. So here you go, footer, 40 foot by 50 foot, footer example. Okay, you have to come out a little extra. Okay, and our standard footer size is 16 inches wide by 10 inches deep. 16 inches wide by 10 inches deep. What that does, that ends up being 200 cubic feet. And how I came up with that is I got my linear footage. So it's 180 linear feet. And then 16 times 10, if you take 16 times 10, and let's walk through this, 16 inches times 10 inches divided by 144 inches, which is 12 inches times 12 inches, right? Which is a cubic foot. Cubic foot is 144 cubic inches. So that equals 1.12 cubic feet per linear foot. And then we have 180 lineal feet. It ends up equaling 7.4 yards. So let's just add this up. 1.2 cubic feet times 180 lineal feet equals 199 cubic feet, or 200 cubic feet to round up, okay? Which is this here. Should be per lineal foot. So 200 cubic feet. Now, 200 cubic feet, to find your yards, you divide by 27. And how you come up with that number is a cubic yard, which is 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. So 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So 200 divided by 27 cubic feet is 7.4 cubic yards. Okay? Cubic feet. Sorry, I'm distracted. I've been going too hard today, as always. Okay, so 7.4 yards. It's basically 130 a yard. So we'll just say 8 times 130. So that's 1,040. Rebar, so let's just put that, round up to 8. That's going to be 840. Okay. Rebar, 800 linear feet, number 4. Ties for rebar. So we're just going to put 800 here. $800 here. It's basically $1 a lineal foot with ties. Okay. The ties for rebar, they're usually right around $45. Okay. So there you go. Okay. So materials 1,800. So what do we have here? We have $840 here plus 800. That's 1,640 plus 45. That's 1,685. 1,685. We just rounded it up a little bit since this is our first round. Like I said, first revision, right? Now, how did I figure out the labor? Now, the labor, pardon me. The labor, one guy can usually grade and form up about 100 linear feet a day, about 100 linear feet a day. Okay, and this is basically 200. So that's two days, or one guy two guys 1 day, right? And then you have a guy setting forms right in back of them, and a guy setting forms can easily set, like I said, one guy, one man, 100 lineal feet a day for footer. Okay, so that right there is 200 linear feet. That's two guys, 2 days with the pour. And the pour, by the way, pouring concrete half the time. That's what you allot for it. So if it's 24 hours, then you knock that on. I'm sorry, concrete is a third of the time. A third. 1/3 time of preparation to pour. Okay, so we're setting some standards here for you. Pour, period. Jeez. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's that. So we have our labor, and then we have the 32 hours. We have materials 1,800. We have a pump truck. We have to pump the concrete over to the difficult areas so that they can actually get, and the materials, the concrete's included, right? We have that 7.4 yards at 840. So they'll just send one truck. The pump truck, we need it for almost every pour. That makes sure that we pour the concrete evenly throughout the entire footer versus trying to bucket it in. I think you know what's going on there. And then form rental, just in case if we don't have forms, we have form rental in there. You can rent the forms to do the footers. Okay, so that's that. Now, the next is stem walls. So stem walls go up. They're your vertical walls. And let's see if we have a sample. Okay, here's a sample of a footing. So here you have the footing, right? It's 2 feet across, 2 feet across here. This is an old footing, and then it says 9 inches this way, 9 inches this way. And then it has your rebar, where the rebar is going. These are your horizontals. These are your verticals that go up. These are your horizontals in the footer. So this is your stem wall from here up. This is the stem wall. This is the footer. Just this box is the footer. And then this shows, like these footings for posts, it'll show, you know, how wide it is, where it comes together. But this is the basic footing. It's 4 rebars across. And then when you have your footing, it shows it up above, you know, bird's eye view. So you have your crosses, right? But most footings just end up looking like this. It's just rebar coming this way. And then every, 3 feet or so, you'll have a cross member going that way. And then your stem walls go up. So that's your vertical off of your footer, and it'll have detail on how many rebars you have in there. So you measure, the width around the perimeter of your home, of the project. So in our case, it's basically 50 feet by. Well, let's take a look. So it's 50 feet by across the top. It's 66. 41 and 25 is 66. So we need to have stem walls all the way around, right? And since we're at frost depth of 36 inches, we want it to be up a foot off of grade. We're going to pour a 4-foot stem wall, a 4-foot stem wall. So here you go. Labor, 2 days, 3 guys, right? Materials, 180 lineal feet of stem wall. It's going to be 8 inches wide, 48 inches tall. So that's about 480 square feet. That's about 18 cubic yards, which is $2,100, right? And then 180 linear feet of rebar vertical every 18. Now, again, we're just guessing here, but this is what it should be, or less, okay? And then 240 linear feet for horizontal rebars. That's another 800 linear feet. So that all adds up to labor, 1,800, materials, 3,100, the pump truck again, and then form rental. The form rental is more expensive on stem walls because it's more square footage. It's more area. And then the garage slab. The garage slab is actually a little bigger than this. It's about 450 square feet. But 2 guys, 2 days labor, it's going to be about the same. The only thing that's going to change is going to be a little more cubic feet. 5 yards of mesh, 5 cubic yards, and then $650, and then mesh joints. Your mesh is what you roll into. It's 4-inch by 4-inch squares of metal mesh, and it holds the concrete together. Joints, $100. So I just can mesh and joints. I rolled into one fee of $100. And then chairs. And this is what you set your mesh up on, so it's not just sitting on the ground. It's actually held in the concrete at that 4-inch slab. You put the chairs up a couple inches, so it's right in the middle of that slab is that iron mesh. And some people put rocks underneath it. Some people put iron, but it all bleeds in and oxidizes moisture, so it's better to use plastic chairs, okay? So labor 800, materials 800. That's pretty standard. Now we're getting into the driveway. Driveway, same thing. It's going to be 30 feet by about 20 feet, which is 600 square feet, 4 inches deep, so that's 200 cubic feet, or 7.5 yards, about $1,000. Plus mesh joints and chairs, $200. So we rounded up a little bit there. Do you see that? Okay. So labor, $1,200. Materials, $1,200. Okay. And you want to put the time on all these as well. So footer pricing, this is kind of a standard pricing. A couple cheats down here. Stem wall is about $10 lineal foot, up to 8 feet. And slab is about $4 to $4.50 a square foot. So that's it for concrete. You know, it's all just footers, stem walls, and of course slab. Those are the three things you're going to be paying attention to. Thanks, and we'll see you on the next one.